Great moments are born from great opportunity. And that's what you have here tonight, boys.
I'm talking about we're beaten.
We're not beaten.
I'm not beaten. We're in this game. Anybody here tired?
No.
Sonny, not tired. Holt?
I'm just warming up, Sheriff.
Connor?
I'm ready, John.
Bertie, you with us?
Yep.
Good. Because the Rangers are starting to breathe through their mouths. The strides are getting shorter. Do not give these guys too much respect. They didn't pull a dog sled, did they?
No.
Didn't skate the river, did they?
No.
This is our pond.
Now Cameron Hughes gets the ran over the line. Clean pass for Morrison across. The shot, they score! Ryan Winterton and the Firebirds take the lead. 6:08 to go in the first period. Logan Morrison right up the tape for Winterton. And Coachella Valley out in front for the first time in the series.
You know they just want you to bleed, right? I'm here to do whatever they need me to do. You know, if they need me to bleed, then I'll bleed for my team.
Let's go. Pretty boy. Let's go.
Introduce yourself.
Jim. My name's also Jim.
Problem solved.
Thanks, James.
Now, as far as serving the tendy goes, if they're shooting, you're getting your body in front of it. Everybody blocking shots. All you useless guys, blocking shots, bugging Appledorns. Now everybody knows the role. Eh, Sanguinet?
Everyone knows the role. Everyone does their job.
Yeah, so.
For Parsonen, McCormick tries to jam it loose in front, comes to Del Gaizo, pass broken up, John Hayden coming in shorthanded, looking for the hat trick, Hayden's in, he scores! John Hayden, a shorthanded goal, the hat trick for Haynes, 1:57 left in the second period, and it's 5-1 Coachella Valley.
I want to win that championship tonight, but I want to win it clean. Old-time hockey. Like when I got started, you know? Jeez, Toe Blake, Dick Clapper, Eddie Shore, those guys were the greats.
Reg is our coach.
Yeah, sure, old-time hockey. Like Eddie Shore.
Yeah. Coach, our line starts?
Sure.
You were born to be hockey players. Every one of you. And you were meant to be here tonight. This is your time.
Greetings, friends and Firebirds fans, and welcome to the Fire and Ice podcast presented by Desert Willow Golf Resort. Fire and Ice, the official podcast of your Coachella Valley Firebirds, two-time defending Western Conference champions of the American Hockey League. Coming to you from Palm Desert, California, a mere Yanni Newman finish flash away from the Birds' home ice of Acrisure Arena. I'm your host, Judd Spicer. Along with this bi-monthly endeavor over the course of the Birds' third season, I again have the pleasure of serving as your Firebirds Insider. Those Firebirds Insider articles may be found online, as with all things Firebirds, at cvfirebirds.com. Your hockey home and hub for everything, including, but certainly not limited to, tickets, roster information, community, merchandise, and much, much more. Find it all online at cvfirebirds.com. Per the presenting sponsor of this endeavor, Desert Willow Golf Resort. Prime 36 holes, also right here in sunny Palm Desert, California. Love a good putt-to-puck day, just about 3.5 miles away from the Birds' home ice of Acrisure Arena, home of the Mountain View and Firecliff courses, respectively. Actually had the pleasure of playing both across the past about 10 days, and I can report from the grounds and the grass and the turf. Desert Willow in prime peak season shape right now. Greens on both have some serious fire. Bring a good flat stick and a studied short game when you're heading over to both of those courses. Get those tee times online at desertwillow.com. And when you're poking around down there, be sure to check out the awesome and on-site Palm Desert Golf Academy for all your swing tutelage needs. Not alone on this episode of the Fire and Ice podcast, soon to be joined by Birds rookie defenseman Ty Nelson. Going to be making his inaugural appearance on Fire and Ice. Stay tuned for that shortly. In the interim, let us briefly get to this episode's Firebirds Freeze Frame segment. Harkening to years past, as the seasons start to heat up and we get into spring. Not that it's doing so now. I like the conditions now. A little cool, a little breezy, sure. But let's keep it sub 90 for a little while. But as we trend towards spring, as we saw in 2023, as we saw last year, the boys also start to heat up. Winners now of 7 of their past 8, coming off an 8-1 win over Calgary this Wednesday past. That win, by the way, tied the franchise record for goals and set a franchise record for goals in a period with 7 in the middle sandwich period of that 8-1 win over Calgary at Calgary. Birds are now in first place, 32, 18, 1 5, 70 points. Birds are leading the pack, 56 games down and 16 to go. That record, by the way, also best in the West heading into this weekend. Might also add that record, or at least those 70 points, good currently for 4th best in the entire American Hockey League. Yeah, the boys are playing some of their best hockey this season, and doing so at the right time. Per this weekend and days ahead, while after that trip to Calgary, Firebirds 6 consecutive days off before we see them back at the Acrisure Barn. Maybe I can say finally see them back. It's been a spell. They haven't been at home since Sunday the 23rd versus San Jose. So we get the boys back in the barn. A reminder, just 3 home games in this month of March. But then the final chase to season's end really starts. 16 games in a 38-day stretch. That gets underway with a big one. This is going to be a meaningful game. We hope to see you there at Acrisure Arena for it. Going to need that noise. Going to need that energy and support this Wednesday, March 12th, at home versus the very solid Colorado Eagles. That is a 7 p.m. puck drop. Of course, Wednesday's $5 beer night. Also going to be running, by the way, yours truly, via the social media routes, a ticket giveaway. Giving away 3 pairs of tickets. My Minnesota math tells me that is 6 tickets all told. You can check it out on Twitter or X or whatever the heck they call it right now. That's at Judd Spicer. Going to be giving away again 3 pairs of tickets, 6 all told, for this Wednesday, March 12th versus Colorado. Following that, kind of an interesting little blip, I think, in the schedule. They do have next Thursday off before a quick trip to Bakersfield this Friday, March 14th. That is a 7 p.m. start at Bakersfield, before a quick turnaround. Boys come right back home the next day, Saturday, March 15th. That is a 6 p.m. start against the Henderson Silver Knights. Celebrating St. Patrick's Day, by the way. There is a giveaway, a medallion giveaway. That comes more specifically in the form of a beaded medallion necklace. Again, this Saturday, March 15th, 6 p.m. start against Henderson. Boys then get 3 days off before playing Henderson again on Wednesday, March 19th. That is a 7 p.m. start against the Silver Knights and their weird helmets. Boys are then going to hit the road after that. Again, no further games in March after those 3. We'll see him back here at the barn on Wednesday, April the 2nd. That is also against Colorado. In the interim, between March 19 and April 2nd, boys are going to hit the road for a couple stretches, which includes a few games on the road against Calgary and a few non-divisional games on the road to close out the month of March at Chicago. Again, that's the Chicago Wolves. We played twice, by the way, here early in the season. You might remember, here at Acrisure Arena. Beat them both times. All right, lots of player movement, lots of transactions. 'Tis the season. Actually, this is being recorded right on the precipice of the NHL trade deadline. And no, friends, this is not a show about contracts. This is not a show about the Kraken, but I think we can safely say that between rather being buyers and sellers, the Kraken are decidedly the latter. Probably not going to make the playoffs this year. A couple guys already gone from that roster. That means that there are more slots for players from the Firebirds. A lot of ups, a lot of downs. Right before I recorded this, we had up with the Kraken Firebirds Ben Myers, Jacob Melanson, Cale Fleury, and then right before I pressed record, all of those folks were sent back down. Jacob Melanson, of course, just made his NHL debut. Did so in fine fashion, by the way, in a loss to Nashville. Currently, those players, all three of them, now back with the Firebirds, although take note, those may be quote-unquote paper transactions. Player got to be on an AHL roster by the NHL trade deadline to be eligible for the AHL playoffs. So all of those players, some of those players, one of those players, we'll find out. They could be called back up to the Kraken by the time you listen to this show. A couple of guys we haven't seen for a little while. Just want to make note. Captain Max McCormick, been about 2 months now since we've seen Max. Obviously hope to have him back before season's close. He hasn't appeared since January 11th. And Leighton Road is playing some fine hockey before he got banged up. Haven't seen Leighton since February 22. Obviously hope to have him back for this stretch run and then the playoffs. Per your Firebirds leaders thus far into the season, mentioned Yanni Newman earlier in the episode to open the episode, and he undoubtedly just 20 years old. Gosh, this kid deserves headlines. 41 points. He leads CV with 26 goals, coupled with 15 assists. Those 26 goals currently tied for third most in the entire AHL. And that's not just among rookies. Again, that's the entire American Hockey League. Yanni Newman having himself a spectacular rookie season. He was the Rookie of the Month, by the way, for the month of February. Ben Myers, mentioned Ben. He got up, called back down, might get called back up again. Having a great CV season as well, right behind Yanni with 40 points on the year. That's 19 goals, matched with 21 assists for Ben. Logan Morrison. He's really been playing well of late. 35 points on the year thus far for Logan. 12 goals and 23 assists. And defenseman Max Lajoie, 32 points thus far on the year. 3 goals matched with a team-high 29 assists. Per the netminders, Desert continues to go cuckoo for Coco. Mike Coco, also 20-year-old Finn, 16-4-1 on the season. Goals against of 2.37 and a save percentage of .910. All metrics rank in the top 15 in the entire American Hockey League. With all these comings and goings, yeah, we enjoyed the presence of Philip Grubauer here for a stretch. We've seen Victor Osman, who recently made his Birds debut in that big win over Calgary. Won that debut, by the way, so Victor is 1-0. But with all this movement, all these transactions, and of course, by the way, said transactions include Nike Coco. He got a cup of coffee with the Kraken last week, called to the bullpen in one game. He spelled Joey Decord for a little bit. Nike now back with CV, but we've seen him a bit inconsistently. I hope to see him more. He's having such a spectacular rookie year. Seen him just once since February 22. Again, 16-4-1 on the year. Look forward to seeing more of Nike in this home stretch. Ales Stejka, currently 9-12-4 on the year. He's got a goals against of 2.99. Ales with a save percentage thus far into the year of .902. All right, Firebirds friends, all that offered, all that prefaced. Let's get to this episode's visit with Birds rookie defenseman Ty Nelson. All right, Firebirds friends, as offered earlier in this episode of Fire and Ice, my guest on this episode is a 20-year-old native of Toronto, the 68th overall pick of the 2022 draft. The previous 3 seasons spent in the OHL with the North Bay Battalion, during which, over the course of 236 total games, regular season and playoffs, he accrued a massive 228 points. In this, his rookie season on the blue line with the Birds, played in 56 games, and yeah, friends, that's all of them. Tied for the American Hockey League lead in games played thus far. 6 goals, 20 assists. He's 15 to the good in the plus-minus category. I might add that metric currently charts second among all HL defensemen and is tied for 15th across all defenders, rookie or otherwise, in the AHL. That intro offered. Welcome Ty Nelson to the Fire and Ice podcast. Hello, Ty.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Thank you for joining. Let's start with this since we've got some news of the day. A lot of motion going on, kind of a transaction turnstile. I mean, I recorded the opening of this episode by referencing a few things that I kind of laugh, but they may no longer even be true. I mean, literally, man, in the interim between recording that and chatting with you, the short time, John Hayden got called up to
Yep.
the Kraken, and the CV Firebirds have traded Daniel Sprong. We enjoyed Daniel's services for 19 games, during which he put together 25 points, 11 goals. Of course, coming off the natural hat trick in your massive 8-1 win over Calgary. Do you know who's on the Firebirds at this point?
uh, yeah, it's a trade deadline day is always a busy day for everybody. I mean, even up in the show and then down here because it just affects everybody as much, great, because it's all a big one organization. But I mean, yeah, I think I know Daniel for a few years now, and I mean, obviously his goal was to be playing in the NHL like every one of our goals is. So I mean, I hope you wish him the best of luck, and I hope he goes out there and has a great year with New Jersey. And yeah, I mean, I'm really happy for John. I mean, he's an unbelievable guy, a great teammate, and you can see his play speaks for himself. So he really deserves that call up.
You're right. And thank you, man, for putting a positive spin on that. I mean, we get spoiled or selfish here, and ultimately, we want all you guys to have opportunities to play in the NHL. That is our purpose, and that is the goal of the American Hockey League. But we're playing so well right now, man. Winners of 7 of 8, grabbed first place with not that much time to go, just 16 to play in the regular season. I mean, are you keeping tabs on who's coming and going? Like, do you follow the transactions, or are you just like you said you had practice today? You show up and you'd be like, "Oh, I guess Daniel Sprong's not here anymore."
Yeah, I mean, our team. We look at it like a family. So when one person gets called up, it's always brought up in a meeting, and um, we're always giving them credit because it's obviously you got to earn your call up, and I mean, so like for us, like I was saying there, it's just that we're such a supportive team, supportive group. Like we always know what's going on, and I think that's something that really helps drive us as a team, and why we've been playing so great for as of late is just because of how much support and how much of as a family we look at it, our group as.
One of these recent transactions, I did reference this a little more specifically to open the show. Your teammate, Jacob Melanson, just a year older than you, man, got his break maiden, his first NHL game, played very, very well against Nashville. And I'm not sure if being recalled by the Firebirds is a paper transaction to be on our roster for the playoffs, and then he'll get called up. We'll see what happens, man. But when you see a teammate that's just a year older than you get called up, and then it's like, wow, it's just one game, it's one phone call, and all of a sudden you're living your dream. What does that do for you, Ty?
Yeah, I mean, it's really exciting. I mean, you go back to a couple years ago when the Firebirds were making their first playoff run, and me and Jacob were in the hotel and being Black Aces together. So I mean, it's great to see someone that you've known and kind of grown the last couple of years, grown with, and just seeing how much work and time and effort he puts into the game every day, and for him to get that call, it's really awesome, and I'm really happy for him, and super glad he got to play in his first game. And you know what, I just when he got that call, just wished him best of luck and told him to have lots of fun because I mean, you only play in your first NHL game once, so you got to enjoy it and make it a memorable night.
You use the term Black Aces. It's one I've heard before and familiar with, but for those who may not be, could you define that, Ty?
Yeah, so basically a Black Ace is a guy who is signed with the organization. So for us, we were signed with Seattle, and then there's a rule in the CHL, which is where I played a part of the OHL, that you can't play in the AHL until you're 20, turning 21. So technically, I was signed with the Kraken, but I wasn't eligible to play with the Firebirds because I wasn't of age yet. But once my season was finished, because I completely finished my season, I was able to be called by the Firebirds to be a pretty much like an extra player in case someone got hurt or something like that. They wanted to change up lineups or something like that. We were there and available and ready to play if needed.
Saw that 2 years ago, as you referenced. We saw it last year as well.
Yep.
What were you soaking in from what was our Firebirds magic dust in that inaugural year? And it's magic that still continues. Obviously, it's the middle of March in our third season, and we're back in first place. But what did you soak in from that experience?
Yeah, I mean, there's been so many great players that have played here, and just kind of just trying, honestly, I think just trying to learn the ropes of what the league's like and how it kind of operates, and just knowing. I feel like especially last year, I tried to really get to know the coaches and get to know, like, how the league works, just the little insider things that when you do come into your first year, it makes you a little bit more comfortable just knowing those things already. And I feel like that was a big thing. And then just being able to talk to guys like Jimmy Schultz and Andrew Potterowski, John Hayden, um, you know, Kale Fleury. I mean, the list goes on and on, but just to be able to talk to them and hang out, and obviously it makes it more comfortable for this year as a first year. Like, I already know the guys, we have some relationships connections, so it just made things a lot easier. So I feel like that was really just trying to learn as much as I could from all of those guys and make those little connections that really helped make this year easy on myself.
Is there one or two things in particular, Ty, that you felt you learned from those veterans, whether it be on or off the ice? A couple things that have really stuck with you and helped you in this rookie year?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I can go on and on probably about every single veteran on the team and what they've taught me. But I mean, just you look at the guys like John Hayden, uh, Goose, and Kale Fleury, Max Lajoie. Like, I mean, I don't want to leave anybody out, but there's too many guys that I can name. And it's just really the way they go about their day to day and how they carry themselves and how, they show up ready to work in the morning, and then you get to the rink, they're doing their workouts, then they're doing video with the coaches, and then we have team video, and then it's time for practice, and everybody's giving it 110% in practice. And then after that, they're getting treatment or they're stretching out, rolling out, and then they're hitting the showers and they're out of there. So they're just treating every day like it's a day to get better. And that's something I think I really try to idolize and try and live up to after those guys. Is just take it day by day, get 1% better every day, and just try and learn and be open minded to anything that comes my way.
Now, some of those things, I don't want to say that they sound a little bit like it can be a sport cliche, because I'm going to interject this as well, man. In
Yes.
the first year of the Firebirds, I felt like when we watched Riker Evans, obviously we knew he had a bright future. We knew he was a touted prospect, but I feel like we saw him get better. We saw
Yeah.
him get so good that by the time the Calder Cup playoffs came around, he may well have been our best player come that long and lengthy season.
Yeah.
Over the course of this year, man, and I've said this to Coach in a couple press conferences, I feel like we've watched Ty Nelson really grow. I feel like we've watched you really progress from when the season began. Seems like a long time ago. It's not that
Yeah.
long to look back to October.
Yeah.
But as we get now into the middle of March, I feel like we've seen you progress so much over the course of your rookie year. Do you feel that way?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, a lot of it has to come just with, getting the first couple games underneath your belt. And then the more you play, the more comfortable you are. And then it just kind of built from there. I think for myself personally, it was just, the first couple games you're trying to figure out the pace and the speed of the league. And then from there, it's just kind of, wanting to grow and become the best version of myself that I can. And just trying to put that best version of myself on the ice every night. And I think that's something that I'm really trying to do every night, because that's just, I want to do anything I can to help the team win, and that's just the type of person I am. I want to be performing at my best every night, and and just trying to get better every single day and trying to further my career as best as I can. And I think that's just something that I've really tried to focus on in these past couple of months, and I feel like that's really helped me out.
Do you feel like there's one or perhaps one or two aspects of your game specifically that you feel have really improved over the course of the season, Ty?
Yeah, I would like to say my defending. I feel like me and Coach Stu have been doing a lot of work on that, and it's not so much even just like big things. It was just like little things about stick positioning and like where you'd put it on certain situations. And I feel like that's something I've really tried to improve on. And then I feel like just my confidence with the puck has been a lot better. And I mean that's the type of player that I feel I am is I'm a two-way defenseman, and I love to play in the offensive zone and make things happen. And I feel like just, like I said, with as much as you're playing in the games, you get more comfortable. And that's something that I really felt like I've tried to dial up a notch is just my confidence with the puck and making smart plays and making the right plays when they're there.
Yeah, I feel like that's my observation as well, Ty. And everything obviously in hockey can happen so fast. But when you see it slow down, even just by a second, that would be my observation with you is that, and you're not alone. I mean, we've seen this with rookies over the course of nearly 3 years now. Get the puck on your stick, and you're just kind of looking to advance it. You're looking to get to a veteran teammate, maybe. But for
Yeah.
you, over the last 10, 20, maybe even 30 games, that extra second, even with the puck on your stick, you look so much more comfortable, man.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that definitely, I feel that way now too. It's just, you take that extra second and then you make the right play. You're not just trying to, like you said, get it up, make the first play, get it to the veteran.
The Firebirds, as referenced earlier, winners of 7 of 8, now back where we belong in first place in the Pacific Division. With all these transactions and all these guys coming and going, you feel confident that the fellas that are going to step in were ready to continue this pace that we've established over the course of the last couple of weeks or so?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, for us, our goal is, to get 2 points every night, and that's the way we want to play. And Coach Lax just said it today in practice. Um, not not every day is going to be a day where you want to go out there and give it 110% because you know what, like you played 2 games on the weekend, then we just flew back and we got to practice today. But it's you got to be at your best, performing your best because you want to be the best. And I think that's something that our team really, really wants to look and work forward to and continue doing is that, just putting your best foot forward every day, and that's going to contribute on and off the ice to how the outcome of our team has.
Friends, you're tuning into the Fire and Ice podcast presented by Desert Willow Golf Resort. My guest is Birds rookie defenseman Ty Nelson. Ty, let's dive into the Ty file a little bit more specifically and personally, if I may. Your size and stature and build, you've heard this probably 8 million times. It's unique to hockey. You have a different hockey body than we usually see. How many times have you heard that, if you can even estimate over the course of your hockey life?
Yeah. I mean, probably a couple hundred. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm gonna date myself by referencing this, but I don't know. Maybe you like old cartoons or action figures. I look at Ty Nelson, and do you remember Ram Man? He was part of He-Man and Masters of the Universe. He was a friend of He-Man, so he was one of the good
Okay.
guys. Fear not, not a friend of Skeletor. They were the bad guys. But he was a shorter dude, very strong, very stocky, and his action figure had a little thing like you kind of push this button on his hip or his leg, and he would spring forward a little bit, so his size and kind of compact might was even more intense. I don't know for you. I I guess I'm asking. Let me put it this way: it was a recent press conference, and there was some big bear that came at you. It was like
Yeah.
I think he was with Tucson. He was like a guy that was 6'9". He came at you specifically a couple times, and I asked you about it, and you were just kind of like, whatever. Like that
Yeah.
does not bother you. That doesn't bother you. The discrepancy in height, that does not bother seem to you at all.
No. And I mean, I feel like throughout my whole life, I've never been the tallest kid. But you know what, I've been lucky. I've been on the stockier side, and so you know what, if I'm going to a corner with a guy that's 5'2", or I'm going into the corner with a guy that's 6'7", like I'm going in there with the same mindset that I'm going to do anything to get you out of my way to get that puck. And that's just the way that, you know, I've played hockey my whole life. And that's the way, you know what, I've had that outlook on life. You know what I mean? You can't tell me I can't do something because I'm too small. Like, no, I'm not. Like, I'll prove it to you. And like, not prove it to you, but like, I'll prove you wrong. Like, nobody's like, you can't limit me because I'm a shorter guy.
You say that as though people have remarked maybe to in a negative way over the years, over your developmental years or your OHL years, like, oh, Ty Nelson, great player, but he's short. And
Oh,
you don't like
definitely.
that. Yeah.
No.
Um, Talking about some of your background and your upbringing further, this is from a really great article I found in the Seattle Times, Jeff Baker, back from 2022. I don't know if a lot of people are familiar with your upbringing in Toronto, and I can make a kind of a couple broader questions about this, Ty. So I'm going to approach it this way: like, hockey can be a really expensive sport, and it's not
Yes.
alone. There are other sports like that where it can limit opportunity. Cost can limit opportunity. And that gets into the realm, whether it be like football, where you have personalized quarterback coach, or in hockey, where you have these elite skill skating personal coaches. That is not how Ty Nelson grew up, is it?
No. Yeah, I mean, I was never one of those guys who was doing extra morning privates, or in the summer, you know, doing summer skates or that. Like, to be honest, I didn't really start skating in the summer until probably a year or two before my draft year into the OHL.
Wow.
And that's just, yeah, like, I mean, I come from a family where we didn't have that source of income that I could do all those things. And you know, I the only ice time I got was what came along with my team. And then in the summers, I was playing lacrosse. So I played lacrosse for a long time at a high level, and then any sorts of training I was just doing it across the street from my house at a park.
Your parents, I mean, you grew up in Toronto in a pretty tough neighborhood, man, described by Jeff Baker as a neighborhood with some legitimate and pretty frightening gang violence. He described a 700 square foot apartment that you and your family and your sister grew up in. I believe that your grandma may also been in that complex. And your parents busted their butts, man, to give you these opportunities, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, kind of part of the reason why my parents were there is just because they were paying for my hockey, and they were paying for my sister's school. And you know, my parents did everything they could to give me and my sister every chance of success. And I will be forever grateful for everything that they've done for me and my sister. And you know, I can't repay them ever. I mean, I'm just so grateful for that. But yeah, I mean, it was unfortunate. Like, we grew up in a neighborhood where there was a lot of gangs and gang violence. And I mean, it's not something you want to be around. But I mean, hey, you know, life throws stuff at you, and you got to deal with it. And I mean, for me, it was just, you know, I would go out to the park in the middle of the day and do my workout during there. And then, you know, and at night you don't really go out to the park kind of thing, and just try to avoid all the bad stuff. And you know, one of my best friends, to this day, he plays at Minnesota, and he plays basketball. He's big, 6'7", and he just transferred there this year. But for me and him, I mean, we just every day would go out to the park during the days, and you know, just trying to stay away from any bad things that happen, but also trying to make the most out of that. You know, it wasn't the best place to grow up, but there's a lot of great memories there.
Toronto, of course. You know, a lot of Americans, we think of Canada, of these sweeping open prairies and people just fishing all the time and things like that.
Yeah,
I mean, Toronto is a city of 3 million people.
yeah,
The biggest city in all of Canada. It is a major metropolitan area, which is to say that the more people you get, the more problems that you're probably going to have in the city. Toronto can be
absolutely.
a tough town in certain places. I mean,
Yeah.
how did that help frame you as a hockey player and perhaps frame your own toughness?
Yeah, I mean, um, it definitely helped with just kind of the resiliency of growing up in a neighborhood where, you can't go out to the park whenever you want, like, some kids could do in different areas, and you can't just go for a walk every now and then. Like, you really just have to kind of take what you're given and make the most of it. And I feel like that really relies in hockey is because, sometimes you come in, you're not given a whole lot, but if you go out there and you make the most of the opportunities that you're given, then that'll help you grow as a hockey player and help you grow within your team. And I feel like that's something that I've tried to do a lot this year, and I feel like, just kind of living in that area has been able to teach me and help me out with that.
Are you talking about Frank Mitchell, by the way, when you're referencing Golden Gopher basketball? All
Yes, I
right.
am.
I've gotten ripped on a little bit as a Minnesota native that I've been injecting too much Minnesota, but I follow the Golden Gophers hockey and
Yeah,
basketball, and I like what Frank Mitchell brings to the table. Big dude, by the way,
he is a
six
big
eight.
man.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
he's a big guy. I think you'd be fine walking around the streets with you and Frank Mitchell together. I don't think anyone would mess with you guys, Ty.
Yeah, I mean, well, you got to think about it. 4 or 5 years ago, he wasn't 6'8", but yeah, no, I mean, he was great because he lived there before I did. Obviously, he's older than me, so he knew a lot more people in the neighborhood than I did. And he was really great about it. Some of the guys that maybe him or his brother knew that were involved in some of the gang relations that he made sure that if I was out there running, nobody was involved or talking to me, or I was just allowed to do my thing. And that was a big part of it was because of him. And um he did everything really. We did everything together in the summers. We trained every day together, and then after training we really just hung out at one of each other's houses for the rest of the day. And he's a great guy, and I'm super happy that I was able to have a friend like that in that neighborhood, and he really made things a lot more fun.
Referencing the sacrifices that your parents made in that article, Jeff Baker referenced that they were both had a couple jobs working overtime. Also referenced rather that your sister put in a lot of time personally cooking for you, doing home chores, things like that, because your folks were working so much. Where's your family at as far as your journey right now? I mean, have they been to the desert? Do they watch every game? Are they cheering you on? How are they following? How are they part of this journey, Ty?
Yeah, I mean they're as involved as it gets. I mean, unfortunately, they haven't been able to come out yet. My sister just had her first kid, so they've been at home dealing with my little nephew, and but my mom's making the trip out in April, which will be nice. But yeah, no, they watch every game from home. I mean, which is pretty special because we're playing at 7 o'clock here, but at home it's 10 p.m. and those games are going until 1 a.m. and they got to get up for work the next morning. But yeah, they watch every game. And then my dad, who's always been my biggest supporter, we'll do a debrief about the game every pretty much the day after, and we'll just talk about how things went and how I felt on the ice and things I can do better. And just it's amazing to have someone so involved and so helpful because he's watched me play my whole life, so he knows the way I play, and he knows things that maybe I didn't see on the ice that we can work into and help further my game, which is it's so incredible.
Is your dad, is he one to give the tough love, or is he kind of a softie when it comes to any criticisms he might have of your game?
No, I mean, my dad, he's a straight shooter, as he always says. So if I don't have a bad game, I mean, I don't have a good game in his eyes, he'll let me know. But I mean, that's part of the reason I feel like I am where I am today is because, he's never one just to sugarcoat something and say, oh, you played great when you didn't, but because, you want to he held me accountable, and that's helped me, become the person I am today, and helped me, in my hockey career so far.
Something of a sloppy non sequitur. You'll suffer me that, Ty. Just kind of looking over your stuff and your social media a little bit. Came across a cool picture of Ty Nelson, looking like a serious cowboy, by the way, and holding a guitar. Do you play the guitar?
Well, I'm in learning of if playing. Yeah, it's something I've I love country music. I feel like growing up in Toronto, being, everybody thinks you're a city boy, but I played junior hockey for 3 years in North Bay, Ontario, which is 3 hours north of Toronto, and it's pretty country out there. And I feel like that's kind of like that's where I really felt like at home. And so yeah, I mean, I was just messing around in the summer. I went up there and visit some friends, and they invited us over to his house, and they just started picking up the guitars and started playing. And I was like, you know what, this would be amazing to do. So I just picked it up, and trying to learn a few songs here and there, and whenever you got free time, just try and pick it up and string a few chords.
What are a couple of the songs that you've learned?
I'm trying to learn Lady May by Tyler Childers. Um, Wasted on You by Morgan Wallen, which is a good one, and then just a couple Zach Bryan songs.
Okay, not my genre. I'll be the first to admit, but Zach Bryan himself, a fine songwriter. He kind of defies country a little bit, I think.
Yeah, he's very popular in the country world.
Speaking of country, I also read this Big Yellowstone guy. That's your show?
I love it. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm waiting for because they released this new season in two parts, so I'm waiting for the second part to come out. I've yet to watch it.
Okay, but up to date, it's like season 5.5 or something like that. You've watched
Yep.
all of them.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that how you unwind after a trip or during a trip or after or a game?
Yeah, honestly, it really is. It's a great way to, because, after you play a game, your heart rate's so high, your mind's racing, the adrenaline's just flowing. And just to be able to come home and lay in bed and just watch something you thoroughly enjoy helps take your mind off of it and kind of help you wind down.
Let's wrap up with this one, Ty. Between learning to play the guitar, between your budding professional hockey career, when you're up in North Bay, you did some fine philanthropy and charity work by the name of Ty's Troops. That's an organization that continues. We can give the listeners a little detail about what you were able to accomplish when you were up there with Ty's Troops. And then, as a two-part question, how you might want to eventually try to carry that on here in the Coachella Valley.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Ty's Troops was invented by, one day. We met some new people in North Bay, me and my dad, and his daughter dealt with intellectual disabilities. And, and me playing there for a little bit, she knew who I was, and just to see how happy she was to talk to me. And then she's like, our parents became friends. And then seeing her after games and that sort of stuff, and just seeing how happy the games made her and the team makes them and stuff. And that just kind of, clicked in my head where it's like, you know, these people struggle with so much, and they struggle with communication or different types of things that are involved with those intellectual disabilities. And just, seeing them come to the game and how happy they are watching the team, and seeing how much fun they have at the games, that just made me think, and that, we can go and do things with them, play ping pong and that sort of things. And that's kind of really where Ty's Troops came from, is that just there's a place in North Bay that, where people with intellectual disabilities go to play and learn and have fun and do different things that bring them out of their shells. And so I paired up with them, and that every week we went over, and I brought two of my teammates, and I tried to bring two different teammates every time, and they loved it. It was so much fun. We had tons of different activities that we did. Christmas themed, Halloween themed. We played ping pong, air hockey, and just seeing the smiles and how much they enjoyed it, that just made my heart happy, and I loved it every second of it. And yeah, I mean, I tried to continue it, even though I'm all the way out in California now, and we're just trying to continue it. And the team still goes every week, and they play the games and make visits, and I'll send videos and they'll play them on the board and stuff, because just every time I go back to North Bay in the summers and I go and see them and hang out, so it's always nice to send a video so that way they know. I just talk about how much I miss being there in person, and I hope they're having great time with the teammates. But like you said, yeah, I mean, hopefully in the near future or sometime maybe next year that we can start something like this up here. And I mean, I just love being able to help out and put smiles on people's faces. And I think that's something that I'm really interested in. And yeah, definitely looking to maybe see if we can get that started up out here.
Birds, of course, doing a great job with their One Valley Foundation, all the auctions, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars raised already this year. And it sounds like Ty Nelson would be an excellent part to further what's going on with the One Valley Foundation. I know that you've already done a ton of community stuff in the desert already in this your rookie year. Ty, making a difference on the ice, off the ice. Appreciate your time, man. Continued success as we hit the final stretch. 16 games to go. Let's enjoy the rest of the regular season, man. Appreciate your time.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me out.
All right, Firebirds friends. It's going to wrap it up for this episode of the Fire and Ice podcast presented by Desert Willow Golf Resort. So appreciative of your time, your interest, your ongoing support of this endeavor. Equal appreciation goes to this episode's guest, defenseman Ty Nelson, having himself a fine rookie campaign with CV. Very appreciative of Ty's time. Very much look forward to seeing his continued progression through the American Hockey League. Equal gratitude, of course, goes to the presenting sponsor of this podcast, Desert Willow Golf Resort. Just about 3.5 miles away from the Birds Barn of Acrisure Arena. Love a good putt-to-puck day. You go tee it up over at Desert Willow, Mountain View, and or Firecliff course. They got two great tracks over there. Get the tee times online at desertwillow.com. You can play golf and then skate it on over. Take Cook. Get on Varner. It's a great baton pass. From golf to hockey, make it a really beautiful desert day, teed up at Desert Willow, and then we'll see you over at Acrisure Arena at night for a Birds game. Per seeing you at Acrisure Arena, look forward to seeing you this upcoming Wednesday, March 12th. Going to be a big one against the Colorado Eagles. As of this recording and conversation, they're just 2 points behind us in the standings, while they do have 4 games in hand, although I think it's a game that we'll undoubtedly look back at as the season wraps up as definitely having some gravity and meaning. Again, Wednesday, March 12th versus the Colorado Eagles, 7 p.m. puck drop. Thanks again, everybody, for tuning in. And remember, as always, One Valley, one team, rising together.